All right, I hope you've ordered your appetizers because we are ready to work some operations problems. Order of operations. Here we go. Really, what we're going to focus on in this lesson practice is doing the operations that we need to do in the correct order so that we get the right answer. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is going to be very important as we consider what we do first, second, third, fourth as we work these problems. So let's get started. Letter A, simplify. 45 minus 2 plus 4 times 5 minus 3. Now I'm going to recommend that you always start these complicated problems out by rewriting the exact problem in your notes. That will help you to visualize the problem a little better. And then we're going to work it in steps, one step at a time. I'm only going to do one order of operations at each step. 45 minus, the next thing I'm going to do is combine 2 and 4 into 6 times 5 minus 3. The next thing I need to do is so I did the grouping symbols, the parentheses. Next thing I need to do is any multiplication. Oh, I have a 6 times 5 in here. So this is going to be 45 minus 30 minus 3. And now I just subtract from left to right. 45 minus 30 is 15. So it's going to be 15 minus 3. I can actually do two subtractions at a time. 15 minus 3 is 12. Now here's the thing. In your work, I want you to do one operation at a time, similarly to how I did it here. You're probably not going to like doing one operation at a time, to be honest, because you're going to think your brain can handle more than that. But honestly, students really struggle when they try to do 2 or 3 operations at the same time. So it's not allowed in algebra. You need to make sure that you do things in order, one thing at a time. All right, let's take a look at the next question. This case, they ask us to justify each step. I was kind of doing that as I went along with letter A anyway, but let's do it. So 9 times 2 to the third power. All right. And then we're going to do minus 9 and then divided by 3. I don't know that I have a good divided symbol on here, so I'm just going to use the slash as the divided symbol, knowing that that's the same as this division symbol here. Really, honestly, this means the exact same thing. Okay, so 9 times 2 cubed minus 9 divided by 3. First thing I'm going to do, I don't have any grouping symbols, so I'm going to do exponents. This is going to become 9 times, let's see, 2 to the third is 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 minus 9 divided by 3. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is any multiplication and division from left to right. 72 minus 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, 72 minus 3. 72 minus 3 is 69. That's my answer for letter B. Let's move on to letter C. Letter C is very similar, except this time I have one big fraction bar dividing everything. So this is going to be 15 minus 3 squared plus 4 times 2. And then this whole thing is going to be divided by 7. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a 7 here. I'm going to shrink the size of my box. And then I'm just going to make this look sort of right by putting a fraction bar symbol kind of in the right spot. I know it might not be perfectly level, but you get what I'm going for. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. Let's see. I'm going to simplify inside the grouping symbols first. And remember, big fraction bars count as a grouping symbol. So I need to simplify on top of the fraction. So let's see. The first thing I'm going to do on top of the fraction, now I need to run my, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally again on just this expression on top of the fraction. First I'm going to do exponents. 15 minus 9 plus 4 times 2. Next, I'm going to do multiplication division. Well, 4 times 2 is multiplication. 15 minus 9 plus 8. And then I'm just going to add and subtract from left to right. 15 minus 9 is 6 plus 8 is 14. So on top of my fraction, I have 14. On bottom of my fraction, I have 7. So let me just move this over. I'm going to end up with 14 divided by 7. 14 divided by 7 is just 2. And I'm just going to put this down here. You guys were able to follow my work. I justified each step as I go. Now, honestly, if it says justify each step in the work, in your work, I'd expect you to write a justification for each step for B and C. I did it out loud on video recording, so you know I have justification. All right, letter D. I need to figure out whether the expression on the left is greater than, less than, or equal to the expression on the right. So this is a two-step problem. I need to work the expression on the left and then the expression on the right to figure out which one's greater or less. So this is going to be 1/4 plus 3 squared plus 6. Okay, and let me make that square to squared. I'm going to simplify this and make it 1/4 plus 9 plus 6. And this is going to come out to be 15 1/4 when I add that all together. Okay, so 15 1/4, how is that going to compare to the expression on the right? Let's find out. On the right, I have the expression 5 minus 2 plus 2 times 4 plus 3 divided by 9. Ooh, that's a long expression. What I'm going to start with when simplifying that, I need to start with grouping symbols, but I don't have any grouping symbols. I don't have any exponents, so I'm going to move right along to multiplication and division. I'm going to do multiplication and division first from left to right. 5 minus 2 plus 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 divided by 9 is 1/3. Okay, 5 minus 2 plus 8 plus 1/3. 5 minus 2 is 3, plus 8 is 11, 1/3. So this is going to be 11 1/3. Well, that's obviously smaller. So the symbol that I would use to answer question D is the greater than symbol, because what's on the left is greater than what's on the right. So let me do that. Greater than symbol. Bam. That's my answer for letter D. Finally, letter E. Letter E is one that looks a little complicated first, because it looks like we're going to have to use some complicated equations and math, but it's really not that bad. Jonah's making a model of the moon, uses the formula 4/3 pi r cubed to find the volume. The model moon's radius is 3/2 of an inch. What is the volume of the model of the moon? Give it the answer in terms of pi. So that's nice. I don't have to simplify pi. But I'm going to have 4/3 times pi. Okay, so I'm just going to write pi times r cubed. And I know that r is 3/2. Okay, so 3/2 cubed. Now I'm writing this out kind of fast. I need to express this in a way that I could actually figure this out. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take that 3/2 and make an actual fraction looking fraction out of it. I'm going to do that using the same method I used up here. So let me just make a quick text box that has 3/2, 3, 2. And then we're going to make this look like a fraction. And then I'm going to end up copying this fraction because we're multiplying it by itself 3 times. The first thing I'm going to do when I work this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to do my exponent. So 3/2 times 3/2 times 3/2. Okay, and I'm just going to note that I'm not going to worry about making time symbols between these. I'm just going to note that I'm multiplying these. 3/2 times 3/2 times 3/2 is, well, 3 times 2 times 3 is, let's see, 3 times 3 is 9, times 2 is 27, 2 times 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So it's going to be 27/8. So let's go ahead and write 27/8 as our answer. Let me make this wide enough to handle that big number. Okay, now my answer is 4/3 times pi times 27/8 when I simplify this. So how am I going to simplify? How are we going to simplify this further? Well, I can combine the constants. 4/3 times pi times 27/8 is the same as 4/3 times 27/8 times pi. I can multiply the 27/8 times 4/3 and still get an answer. So it's going to be times 4 on the top of this fraction. Whoops, there we go. And times 3. Remember, when I multiply fraction, I multiply across the top and across the bottom. and that's going to give me a new fraction. I'm going to try to do this one in my head. 27 is almost 25. It's 2 greater than 25. 25 times 4 is 100. 27 times 4 is going to be, let's see, 2 times 4 greater, 8. It's going to be 8 greater, so that's going to be 108. And then 8 times 3 is 24. Now, 108 over 24 is not a reduced fraction. Let me think about that for a second. I can divide both of those numbers by 4, right? So let's think about that. 108 divided by 4, that's going to be 27 because that's the number I started with. So it's going to be 27 over 24 divided by 4 is 6. My answer is 27 over 6. And then I also have to include, I can't forget that this is over or times pi. So somewhere in here, I also have to include that it's, let's see, let me just do that right next to it. 27 over 6 times pi. Now to do this, what I did, remember, is I figured out the exponent first. It was 3/2 cubed, okay? Then I multiplied that by 4/3, and I was left with 27 over 6 pi as my answer. You'll have some questions like that, and you'll have questions like the others in the assignment. Make sure you do 1 through 30.